No?
You have 1 minute. 1 minute to lift off on Shabbat. 1 minute. Start moving towards your preferred seat.
That could be really interesting.
Wow, the timer's done. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is great to see everyone. I know that we have a very large number that RSVP'd for tonight's dinner. That means that you are the people brave enough to come early to pray and celebrate with us. And all those other people will be coming in slowly, we hope. But we're going to remember who you are, and you get cuts to the food line. Does that sound good? All right, so tonight is not just Shabbat. Tonight is an evening where we're going to honor Yom Haatzmaut. Yom Haatzmaut, for those of you who don't know, is Israeli Independence Day, and I'm going to be talking about that off and on throughout the evening. But back in Genesis, God said to the very first Jew, Abraham, or as he was known then, Avram, God said, "Go forth from your native land, from your father's house, to the land that I will show you, and I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you." This land that Abraham got sent to, this land that Abraham took a journey to, was the land of Canaan, today known as the land of Israel. Over 3,500 years ago, we went there. And except for a few years and, really 400 years of slavery in Egypt, we spent all of our time in this land. Even when we were expelled in 586, we came back. And even when we were expelled, there was a small group of Jews left behind. And even when we were expelled in the first century, guess what? We still remained, and not everyone left. Especially when you're in Tzfat, you'll know that there was always a continuous Jewish community. One always present, one that was always thriving. But it wasn't until 1948, after 2,000 years, that we regained political control of our beloved land. A land we never left. We were recognized in 1948 as a nation, and that's why we celebrate Yom Haatzmaut tonight. So we're going to begin with some music, and I'm going to ask anyone under the age of 18 who has a flag to come join us up on the bima. Come join us on the bima. I'm going to ask you to come up. Let's be brave. Anyone under the age of 18, I need some B'nai Mitzvahs up here too, just to help with the kids. Come on. We're going to put you over by our Cantor, and if you know the songs we are singing, please join in. We are going to be doing Am Yisrael Chai, Hine Matov, and then Am Yisrael Chai. The Jewish people live and survive and thrive. And all my flag wavers and singers, we need a smile, big smiles. You got to look happy. Here we go.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יה לה 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 לה. עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו חי, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו, עוד אבינו חי. עם ישראל, עם ישראל, עם ישראל 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 חי.
A mazel tov, or a mazel tov to our flag wearers and wavers. You guys can go back to your seats. Thank you very much. Back in 1894, there was a young journalist by the name of Theodor Herzl. He worked for an Austrian newspaper, and he was sent to Paris to cover the trial of Alfred Dreyfus. Now, Alfred Dreyfus was a soldier, he was a Jew, and he was accused of being a spy. And there was no real evidence against him, but because the anti-Semitism in France was so great at that moment, he was convicted. And Herzl, a man who was Jewish, but who didn't really feel Jewish, who didn't believe in his Judaism, watched this occur. And suddenly he was overwhelmed with the fact that no matter who you are, no matter how you want to be perceived, if you're Jewish, you are Jewish. And he began to develop great pride for his Judaism because he saw what happened to Dreyfus. And he knew it could happen to him. It could happen to any Jew. He attended a public ceremony where Dreyfus was stripped of his rank, of his military honors. And at this ceremony, the crowd yelled out anti-Semitic slurs against Dreyfus. And Herzl came to the conclusion at that moment that without a Jewish state, this was going to happen again and again and again. Within a year, he composed a book called The Jewish State, and he outlined his ideas for a Jewish homeland. And then this young man, he gathered together Jews from around the world, from around Europe mainly, and he had the first Zionist conference in Basel, Switzerland. It occurred in 1897. And at this conference, Jews around the world came together to proclaim, we need our homeland back. We need the world to return us to what is rightfully ours. And we need not just the right to return to the land of our ancestors, but to also have political control over it. Herzl then began to travel all over Europe, trying to get heads of states to agree to support the idea of this Jewish homeland coming back into existence as a political entity. But no one would support him. Doors closed in his face time and time again. But Herzl, he never gave up. And during his lifetime, he saw the first wave of chalutzim, of young pioneers returning to Israel. And these young Jews began to change the land by reviving it, turning marshland into fertile fields. And with the help of Zionists from abroad, the Chalutzim, these young pioneers, established a national bank and a Jewish national fund in order to buy land in Palestine. Herzl died at the young age of 44, but others continued his work, talking to foreign governments about a Jewish homeland and continuing to revitalize the land. His famous quote, "If you will it, it is no dream." His will inspired so many people and so many generations that followed him that his dream became a reality. The Jewish people cannot speak enough of the work he did to make the modern Jewish state come into being. So we're going to continue with L'chad Odi, a song that speaks about an angel entering our lives. And back during this time period, the time of Herzl, the angel was the dream of the land of Israel, coming into so many Jewish hearts. We're on page 138. We'll be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
לחדותי לקרא קהלה ונשבע נקבלה לחדותי לקרא קהלה ונשבע נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד בשם ותפארת ולתהילה לחדותי נקרא קהלה ונשבע נקבלה לחדותי נקרא קהלה ונשבע נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לחדותי נקרא קהלה ונשבע נקבלה לחדותי נקרא קהלה ונשבע נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי בא אורך קומי אורי 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 שתדבר כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לחדותי נקרא קהלה ונשבע נקבלה לחדותי נקרא קהלה ונשבע נקבלה.
Let us rise, face the back door as we welcome the Sabbath bride.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצוהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לחדותי נקרא קהלה ונשבע נקבלה לחדותי נקרא קהלה ונשבע נקבלה.
You may be seated unless you've ever done a Kol Tikva Israel mission, or if you're going to do one. So if you've done one in the past or are going to join us this summer, come forward to light our candles. We are now on our 4th Israel mission this summer. We would have been on our 5th, but the pandemic slowed us down. And we've taken between 20 and 35 people to each one, and we've got one starting this June. And we still have spots left if people want to join us. First mission? Second? second mission, going in the future, first and second, third mission, and all three of them. So let us light our Shabbat candles. Who would like to do it? Everyone's pointing at everyone else. Thank you, Mike. The candles are the gateway through which the Sabbath bride enters our lives and our hearts. The Sabbath bride gives us security and peace and a day of rest.
La 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 ya 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 la Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And now they'll return to their seats. Here we go. One of the next great statesmen was Chaim Weizmann. And Chaim Weizmann wore round glasses and had a goatee and was always wearing a hat. He was a very hip-looking guy by our standards. But he was a Jew who cared greatly about having a homeland. And once he was in the presence of the United Kingdom's Foreign Secretary, Arthur James Balfour. Who's heard the name Balfour before? Good, thank you very much. I'm guessing a couple of you. At this time, the Jews had already been offered a homeland. Who knows where that first homeland offered in the 1900s was? Africa. Where in Africa? Come on, John.
I know.
Who knows? Uganda, thank you very much. So the very first Jewish homeland we were offered once we saw this revitalization of Zionism was in Uganda. Herzl loved this idea. Herzl wanted us to go to Uganda, but most other Jews were fully against it. And so there Weizmann was talking to Balfour. Balfour was a very powerful man. And according to Weizmann's memoir, they had the following conversation. And he says, well, first we have Balfour saying, why don't you want Uganda? Why? Take it. It can become a Jewish homeland. And Weizmann responded, Mr. Balfour, supposing I was to offer you Paris instead of London, would you take it? He sat up and looked at me and answered, but Dr. Weizmann, we have London. That is true, I said, but we had Jerusalem when London was a marsh. He then said two things which I remember vividly. The first one was, are there many Jews who think like you? And I answered, I believe I speak the mind of millions of Jews whom you will never see and who cannot speak for themselves. And to this he said, if that is so, you will one day be a force. 11 years later, on November 2, 1917, a letter was written by Balfour and sent to the British Jewish community, and was sent to them via Baron Rothschild, who was their leader. And it reads in part, Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which have been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet. His Majesty's government's views would favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. Yours sincerely, Arthur James Balfour. With this letter, the first foreign government officially supported the establishment of a Jewish state in the Jewish homeland. And though British support would waver over the next few decades, this letter was the beginning of a process that Herzl envisioned at that first Zionist Congress. We turn to page 146 of the Baruch, if we are able. Please rise if you're able. Baruch, page 146.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed.
Please remain standing for the Shema. Let's take a moment and center ourselves. Let's take a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. One more deep breath in before the Shema. In and out. Let us cover our eyes as Joel leads us in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. We turn to page 154 for the V'ahavta, a song about loving God and about teaching your children what that means. The V'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We jump to 1947. World War II and the Holocaust have passed. Their effects, though, are still felt throughout the world. And on November 29th of 47, the United Nations passed a resolution calling for the establishment of the State of Israel. And of course, this news thrilled Jews living in Palestine, but had the opposite effect on the Muslim population. The War of Independence began shortly after. The British mandate over Palestine was officially concluded on Friday, May 14th, 1948. On that same day, the Jewish People's Council met in the Tel Aviv Museum. And as Shabbat approached, as the sun was about to set, the declaration of the establishment of the State of Israel was accepted and signed. The United States of America that day officially recognized the new state. But by the next day, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon invaded Israel in a continuation and a growth of the War of Independence. But while outnumbered, Israel won this war. In 1949, the Knesset declared the 5th of Iyar a public holiday by law. David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, noted it was the first holiday to be added to the Hebrew calendar in over 2,000 years. When we think about this achievement, about how Herzl had this vision, and under 80 years later, we had the land of Israel, it is a true miracle. And as we think of this miracle, we have to think of other miracles, like the crossing of the Sea of Reeds. So we're going to turn to page 158 and sing the Milchamolka with joy in our hearts, because that speaks about a time where we were slaves, we were not free, we were not self-governing. And we moved across that Sea of Reeds, and once we got to the desert, we became a people no longer enslaved. Page 158, the Milchamolka.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני אלוהינו לעולם ועד, אדוני אלוהינו לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. יאי לי 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 לי
Let us turn to page 162 for the Vishamru. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בתורתם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בתורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בתורתם ברית עולם.
We turn to page 371 for the Misha Berach prayer. Tonight on our Misha Berach list, Abby Rapport, Janet Blake, Pam Branner, Lynn Newman, Susie Newborn, Sharon Friedman, Diana Carew, Jeff Borwitz, Mark Mann, Erwin Ames, Dara LaValle, Jeffrey Albaum, Baylor Robinson, Ed Edelson, Mark Jeff Stickler, Leanne Rosenberg, Hillel Baldwin, McKaylee Wetley, Dell and Hank Laufenberg, Trish Santana, Un-Ho Lee, David Berger, the Ray family, Dory Glazer, Brad Stone, Glenn Martin, Paul Hiddleman, Laura Rabney, Micah Engberg. We also think of those affected by acts of anti-Semitism and bigotry, those suffering in the Ukraine, those injured due to border challenges, those healing from all too frequent gun violence, those affected by terrorist attacks and environmental challenges, and all those caring for the ill. If you have an additional name for our Misha Berach list, share it with me now. Misha Berach Avatenu V'Imatenu. May the God of our ancestors grant refuah shlema, a complete and full healing to all those named this evening, and to all those we hold in our hearts. And together we say, the singing of Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Joel and I are now going to read out loud the declaration of the establishment of the State of Israel, written on that night of May 14th, 1948. Eretz Israel was the birthplace of the Jewish people. Here their spiritual, religious, and political identity was shaped. Here they first attained statehood, created cultural values of national and universal significance, and gave to the world the eternal book of books. After being forcibly exiled from their land, the people kept faith with it throughout their dispersion, and never ceased to pray and hope for their return to it, and for the restoration in it of their political freedom. On the 29th of November 1947, the United States General Assembly passed a resolution calling for the establishment of a Jewish state in Eretz Israel.
The State of Israel will be open for Jewish immigration and for the ingathering of the exiles. It will foster the development of the country for the benefit of all inhabitants. It will be based on freedom, justice, and peace as envisaged by the prophets of Israel. It will ensure complete equality of social and political rights to all its inhabitants, irrespective of religion, race, or sex. It will guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, language, education, and culture. It will safeguard the holy places of all religions, and it will be faithful to the principles of the Charter of the United Nations.
We appeal to the United Nations to assist the Jewish people in the building up of its state and to receive the State of Israel into its country of nations.
We appeal in the very midst of the onslaught launched against us now for months to the Arab inhabitants of the State of Israel to preserve peace and participate in the upbuilding of the state on the basis of full and equal citizenship and due representation in all its provisional and permanent institutions.
We extend our hand to all neighboring states and their peoples in an offer of peace and good neighborliness, and appeal to them to establish bonds of cooperation and mutual help with the sovereign Jewish people settled in its own land. The State of Israel is prepared to do its share in common effort for the advancement of the entire Middle East. We appeal to the Jewish people throughout the diaspora to rally round the Jews of Eretz Israel in the tasks of immigration and upbuilding, and to stand by them in the great struggle for the realization of the age-old dream, the redemption of Israel.
Placing our trust in the Almighty, we affix our signatures to this proclamation at this session of the Provisional Council of State on the soil of the homeland in the city of Tel Aviv on this Sabbath Eve, the 5th day of ER 5708, that is 14th of May, 1948.
So these words that we just read brought the control of the land of Israel back into Jewish hands for the first time in 2,000 years. And 1 year later, on the 5th of ER, the 5th of ER was proclaimed a holiday celebrating Israel independence. And this year we celebrate the 75th year of the existence of the modern State of Israel. Quite an achievement. We're now going to rise, if we are able, and turn to page 164 for the Amidah, page 164.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל, ואלוהי לאה. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל, אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו משני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
I'd like everyone to turn to page 555, 555, for the Hoda'ah insert for Yom Haatzmaut. And let us read out loud the English together. In the return to Zion of our time, young people gathered in your land to build it up and to be built up themselves. They established this Independence Day as a festival of joy, thanksgiving, and praise to you. As you perform miracles for our ancestors, do likewise for us, saving us now as you did then. We return to page 172. Please read silently from 172 to 180. When you're done with your silent prayer, you may be seated.
I would like to invite the religious school children up here to help me sing this next song. All religious school kids, come up here.
Don't be shy. Don't leave Joel all alone. We've all been singing this in religious school, I know it.
And those
may
of
be
you
seated
out
when
there
you're
in the
done.
seats can sing with us too.
Yeah. How'd that happen?
עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. סלם עלינו ועל כל העולם. סלם שלום. סלם שלום. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם.
Another Yasher Koach for our kids. I'm going to take this from you guys. Long, long time ago, back during the time of King David. Who remembers King David? Personally? Does anyone know him, remember him personally? That'd be quite the miracle. King David lived a long time ago. He was the second king of Israel. And he had this vision of building a temple in Jerusalem. And he would have dreams where he would see a Jerusalem in the heavens. And he said, wherever that looks like, I'm going to build down here. And he would take scrupulous notes, and he would, design without building. He even dug the hole where, the foundation would be. But God had told him, do not build the temple yourself. I want your son Solomon to do that. So after David's passing, Solomon called together the people of Israel. He called together the rich, the poor, the princes, and the priests. And he said to them, people of Israel, let us build a splendid temple in Jerusalem in honor of God. And since the temple will be the holiest place in our community, all of us has to participate in building it. Therefore, we're going to pull lots. We're going to pick names out of a hat to see which wall each one of you will build. And so there were 4 lots, or 4 things you could pull from the hat. One said north, one said south, one said east, and one said west. And so the princes came along and they put their hand in and they pulled out the northern wall. That was their responsibility. And then the priests, once they were done doing their sacrifices, put their hand into that bag and pulled out a name, and it said southern wall. And then the rich, once they were done feasting and being, treated the way they like to be treated, they reached their hand into a bag and pulled it out, and it said eastern wall. And the only thing left for the poor was the western wall. The wall that really didn't lead anywhere, the wall that no one cared about. Well, the princes, the priests, and the rich, They had other people build their walls for them. They paid workers, or they used their servants. They did whatever was necessary to avoid doing any work themselves. But the poor couldn't afford to hire other people. So what did they have to do? They had to use their own hands. They had to use their own tools. They had to use the sweat of their own brow. And they enjoyed doing it because they were working together as a community. And because of this, their hearts were filled with joy. And once that temple was completed, well, the rich, the royal, and the priest, they would point at the wall and say to their children, "Do you see what I paid to have constructed?" While parents of the poor would say to their children, "Do you see the stones in that wall? I put it there with my own hands." Later, when the temple was destroyed in 586 BCE, only the western wall was saved. The wall built by the poor. And the question becomes why? And that's because tradition teaches us that angels could only protect one wall. And so they spread their wings over it. For that wall built by the poor was the most precious in the eyes of God because they had used their own hands and because they had done it with love in their hearts. And today that western wall still stands, and it still is the most holy place on earth to Jews. So just like the Western Wall, the modern state of Israel was built through the efforts of early Zionist pioneers. Swamps were turned into farmland. Cities grew from desert sands. Israel is a country that came into existence because of the labor of every Jew who believed in Herzl's vision. So my blessing for each and every one of you on this Shabbat. May we dream like Theodor Herzl. May we negotiate like Chaim Weizmann. May we create with our words like David Ben-Gurion. And may we continue to build Israel just as the Western Wall was built by the labor of those whose hearts moved them. And may we always remember that Israel is the homeland for all Jews who need a home. It always has been, and it always will be. And together we say. So tonight, to conclude the sermon, we're going to sing Hatikva. And you should have an insert. If not, we have it in our book also. And on our book, we are on page 678, whatever you prefer using, this or your book. Hatikva was a song written, or was really originally written as a poem, I believe in 1897, if memory is serving me right. And it speaks about the hope. And what is the name of this building, this community? Kol Tikva. The voice of hope. Hope is important for all people. People who have suffered, people who want better. Hope is key. So let's rise for a Hatikva. I'm going to ask the two young men who held our Israeli flag before to come forward and help us out one more time. We also have an Israeli flag over there, but if you guys can come up this week. One on each side. I got this the right way. Is that the right way? Is that the right way? And that looks shinier. We'll do it that way. You got that side, and you got this side. Thank you very much. And now for Hatikva, Israel's national anthem.
Kol od balevav benima nefesh Yehudi homiya udvate mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia. Od lo avda tikvatenu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, liot am chofshi be'arzenu, eretz Zion Yerushalayim. אותם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים.
Now I'm going to ask Karen Friedman to come forward with some announcements. Liotam chofshi.
Stand over here. I'm going to stand here. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi John, Cantor Joel, or Cantor Soloist Joel, and the Cultifa kids. Thank you. Let's all give them another thanks for their beautiful singing. Thank you to our camera and sound specialist, Dave, in the back, for all your help this evening. And thank you to the staff, the maintenance crew, the security for keeping us all safe and for making this event possible. A huge thank you to Nicole Kerner, who, is she here? She's still working. So she put this event together. So when you're out there, make sure you give her a good thanks for this great dinner and celebration. And to Mike Mandel, our mix master for our drinks, okay. All right. And he brought the mix master. You'll see what it is. Okay. And also thank you. If you look under your Shalom sheet, you'll see our sponsors and supporters tonight. Thank you to everyone who helped make this event possible. For quick announcements. First, Cantor Joel's adult ed class, Jews Who Rock. So if you like to rock and you're a Jew, or you like Jews who rock, and you don't necessarily have to be a Jew, I don't think, you just have to like Jews who rock, that is starting this Monday, May 1st at 7 p.m. on Zoom. Join him for a survey of Jewish-themed pop songs, as well as exploration of immense contributions by Jewish musicians to the rock and roll canon. Other sessions are May 8th and May 15th, so mark your calendars. Next week is Debbie Friedman Shabbat, which we will have the Kol Tikva Choir. And I happen to be in the Kol Tikva Choir, so is my son, so is Karen, so is Vicky. So if you want to see some more of all this, yeah, just kidding, come next week, it's going to be fabulous. And now I'm up here to talk to you about Gala. So Gala this year is coming very close. It's on May 20th. It's honoring two very special people, Lisa Hanish and Rabbi John Hanish. And we are really thrilled and just absolutely thrilled with the amount of support we've had for this event so far and how much support has been going towards our cause, which is inclusion and support of this temple and our community, and also to our great leaders who we love dearly. So there are only about 20 to 25 spaces left. I don't have the exact count, but if you want to go and you want to be counted in, please get your tickets. I will be sitting out there today at the Gala table that's very decorated by Gala. You can't miss it. And you can get raffle tickets. You can sign up if you want to, or you can ask me any questions you want. It's going to be super fun. If you want to know the menu, you can get a little inside info today too, if you want to. And the raffle items are the Dodgers, lottery tickets, $200 of the lottery tickets, and we have a Napa wine tasting. Please visit our website for more information on all the events and calendar listings that happen at Kol Tikva. And one last thing for our membership vice president, we want to stand up really quick. This is Cynthia. Everyone say hi to Cynthia. We'd like to, if anyone's here for your first time, or if this is your first time since the pandemic, or first or second time, if you just can wave to us and let us know, we'd love to greet you, have dinner with you, hang out with you afterwards. So let us know who you are, and we'd love to hang out with you. And that's it. Shabbat Shalom.
Good job. By tradition, we count the Omer every day from the second day of Passover to the day prior to Shavuot. Inside of your Shalom sheet, you've got the prayer right here, counting the Omer with Homer. Which is a great website I keep pitching. So if you just Google Omer and Homer, you'll get a really fun way of doing it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer Blessed are you, eternal, our God, the sovereign of all, who has made us holy with your mitzvot and commanded us concerning the counting of the Omer. Hayom shlosha ve'esrim yom shehem shlosha shavuot v'ushnei yamim la'omer. Today is the 23rd day, making 3 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. We're getting closer and closer to Shavuot, and that's a big amen on that one. Amen. We turn to page 598 for the Mourner's Kaddish. On our recently departed list, Rabbi Harold Kushner, who wrote Why Bad Things Happen to Good People, passed just today, and he is remembered by the Jewish community. Howard Sanford, remembered by the Deschel family. Michael Brenner, remembered by the Friedman family. Vladimir Litvak, remembered by the Litvak family. And Herb Binder, remembered by the Heller and Binder families. We also hold in our prayers those taken by gun violence, those that have passed due to floods, fires, and other natural and unnatural disasters, and those killed in regional conflicts. We also think of those who died during this season in years past. Mark Axelrod, Shirley Bloom, Louis Irving Cohen, Herman Hirsch Fisher, Cecily Flamer, Gerald Freund, Harry Friedman, Simon Glick, Melvin Goodman, Mary Greenberg, Lois Hoffing, George Landler, Ben Alaskin, Larry Latt, Arkady Litvak, Lee Mazer, William Mincer, Albert Pass, David Powles, Irving Schuffman, Howard Joseph Schwartz, Esther Skop, Richard Shaw, Celine Stad, Carl Vidal, Erwin Winehouse, and Eva Wadowski. If you have an additional name for our Kaddish or Yortzeit list, please share it with me now. If you're in the first 7 days of mourning Shiva, I ask you to please rise. If you're in the first 30 days of mourning Shloshim, I ask you to rise. If you're in the first year of mourning, I ask you to please rise. If you're observing a Yortzeit, I ask you to please rise. These are the mourners in our midst. We rise to show them our love and our support. We are on page 598. Yitgadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, v'yalmad divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon v'yimechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'galav v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha b'rechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata chishbachata v'nechamata damiran b'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace on high grant peace to all who mourn, to all Israel, and to all humankind. And together we say, Amen. Please put down your books, put your arms on the people near you, if you know them. If not, ask permission first. We're going to do our closing song, Oseh Shalom. And then I'm going to ask everybody to come up on the bima for Kiddush and Challah.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום מרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
If you're in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, come forward to hold our Kiddush Cup and our challah. 6th, 7th, 8th graders. Come on forward. Don't be shy. Come on forward. 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Come on forward. Come over here. I'd like everyone else to come forward and join us on the bima. Who's going to hold this? Guys, you can come closer. Come closer. Come closer. Come closer. Everybody up on the bima. You're not going to get dinner. Or come close. Come on close at least. It's all joined together. You have a better chance of getting challah if you come forward. And if you're not coming forward, send your spirits forward. Here we go. We almost got everybody up here. Are people coming still? Hello. Oh, good to see you. Good to see you. Good Shabbos. Let's see, like Vicky's doing. Come on forward. This isn't like a prom picture. Come on forward. Come this way, guys. I'm going to get you guys to move a little bit this way. Can I get you to move with the center? Yeah, but I want to get you, because you're blocking out the adults. I want to get more adults up here. Okay. All right, we're doing good. Okay. All right. What happened to the Kiddush cup? Oh, there it is. Hold it up high, guys. We all have to hold up our imaginary Kiddush cups. Someday we'll get back to Kiddush cups up here. Here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. L'chaim.
You got to take a little sip of that, guys. Someone's got to take a sip.
Is it what?
It's grape juice. No. Someone's got to take one little sip. One sip. There you go. It's grape juice. I don't think it's that scary. All right. Guys, hold this. Everyone place your hand on the shoulder of the person next to you so we are connected as one community, connected to one another and to challah. Here we go. Ready?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
Shabbat shalom. Come get a piece of
Shabbat
challah.
shalom.
And then go. Now the kids are going to eat all the challah, I can already tell. Go get dinner. And if you want
Bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, hey, Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.